All right, moving on. So we got Heatseekers here today. Essentially, the cars that will be coming out in 2024. Three cars that you think are going to be coming out this year. The first one you gave me was Franks. Why is Franks going to be kind of a hot car this year?
The thing is with the Franks, it surprised all of us when I was there at the launch, and then also I drove it briefly as well while I was in the office. And it's the thing of, how did Suzuki get an entry-level price like this?
Yep.
The kind of feature set and the drivability and quality and everything in between at that price point of 280k starting.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the AutoTrader Podcast. My name is Wandi, the AutoTrader PR and Brand Manager.
And my name is Mr. Taye and Wandi, one of the motoring journalists on board. So, Wandi, how are you doing today?
Can't complain, buddy. It's a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Today you did something pretty incredible, but we'll get into that. Don't spoil it yet. Let's first talk about what we're talking about today. And today we got 4 segments. The first one being hot or not, where we're gonna put up some images on the screen, and I'm just gonna try and get an understanding if you think it's, if it's hot or not, essentially.
Okay.
Next we'll go into yes but no, in which we're just gonna basically look at some popular vehicles and see. We'll look at some popular trends and see if it's a yes or a no, essentially, or no for you.
Let the arguing begin.
Exactly that. I think we're gonna get some interesting things there. And then we're going to have some Heatseekers, where you're going to just tell us about some of the cars that you think are going to be hot this year. And lastly, we're going to go into Lights Out, a new segment. We're going to look at some of the F1 liveries this year and kind of rate them.
Okay.
Maybe we'll use emojis as a rating system.
How do I do, I don't know, a broccoli with my hands?
We will find out when we get there. But moving on, Tay, so hot or not? I'm going to throw up some 3 images I found online.
Okay.
I just want you to tell me what you think about this. So there's a new trend that I've seen recently where people basically LED lights, headlights, different color LED headlights, not the OEM sort of spec.
Is that a Premier League logo? Check that out in
there. It could be.
How much do you love football to do that?
Well, I mean, if you're a super fan of something, this is the sort of thing that you do. But I've seen some really, really crazy different designs. It's not just fast. I've seen like disco lights. I've seen some crazy stuff happening there.
But I think the thing is, what we need to establish first and foremost is that the headlights of a car, fine, good-looking feature, but they are lights. They need to function. Well, this may function pretty well. It's like you're going to paint everything green.
Yeah.
So I don't think Metro Police would love that exactly, but, you'll look fully sick at the show. As far as I go, if it's hot or not, for me, nah.
It's definitely a not for you.
Not for me, nah.
I fully agree. I mean, I've seen some really cool ones. So I've seen some tail lights where someone would take so basically you get a facelift like the M4 CS, for instance.
Yeah.
Where the faces came out and the tail lights were just gorgeous on that specific variant. And then somebody would go and hold on. And then somebody would go and replace the existing taillights with that spec. I think those are cool. But sometimes when you're going into like different color schemes and stuff, I don't know.
Because it's also the legality thing that comes into it as well. I know I sound boring saying this, but it's
you sound boring, Tay.
You want to you want to drive your car and enjoy it, but then not get stopped at every 30 centimeters or something,
100%.
So,
100%.
For the sake of style or for the sake of functionality, that's the line. Gotta balance.
100%. And M4 grill, let me just put it on the record, I love, but we're not going to talk about that. Let's go into the next image. Hot or not, Tay? What are we looking at here, first and foremost? What are we looking at? What is the thing that stands out the most to you before, anything else?
That is very cambered.
Yeah. So, I've seen a few of these on the roads. Personally, I'm like a little bit of camber is not too bad. It's when it's like this where it grates my,
So for people
it grates me a little bit.
For people who know me very well, they know that I'm very much not into the stance culture. You do you at the end of the day. It's your car, you paid for it and whatever, but
any build's a good build.
Yeah, any build's a good build in someone's eyes. But the thing is, you have to be open to critique.
Yeah.
Look, I own performance cars myself. One that hasn't been revealed yet. We won't talk about that.
Yeah.
The other one, yes, I've kind of tastily modified myself.
Yeah.
And it comes to this thing of, okay, I'm going to be open to criticism as well. But back on topic, how does this look exactly? Like we can see clearly it's in the show car setting. So they're going to go full
exactly
full
what
whack.
the brief is for. Yeah. Full
as far as this
setting,
goes.
yeah.
The cleanliness of the build, I appreciate. And that, look, it's even dress-up bolts as well. I'm aware of dress-up bolts. And it's usually things that you'll see in engine-based that you tie up a show car. You know, that little extra detail that you want to see in your cars and that. And, I'll appreciate it for that. It does look clean. I have judged cars before at a car show. And, you look at little things like that, little details.
Would you get some points if you go to a car show and you do have a little bit of camo and you're always like, is that something that's like style points or like what sort of points would you give for that?
It depends on the show, I'll say. So if this was a stance specific show or this is more of like show and shine, just do anything, just make sure it's a good build, make sure it stands out. Like this would win, just on the face of it, it would win a lot of points because I can think what car it is exactly. I think it's a Honda Beat, Japanese small K car runabout and that.
Yeah.
But it's been modified with Honda Odyssey lights, new front bumpers, the rudest metallic paint, that you can see there. As far as the outrageousness of it, it would be hot in that respect.
Okay.
Personally speaking,
not.
Nah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of stance. Sorry.
So you mentioned something earlier, and I'm gonna go to the next car now, and let's just go into the next car. What do you think about is this hot or not?
What is this bias? What is this bias?
Oh my god, is it hot or not? Tay? Like, what are we looking at here? Just
exactly what we are looking at here. Now, I'm going to be contrarian because I know what people are going to say. People who know me extremely well.
Yeah.
I'm going to be contrarian and say no because look at the way his fade is lined up.
Okay. So based on
that is way too lined up. And then even considering the gloves as well, those look like golfing gloves rather than actual driving gloves to stretch over.
Yeah.
As far as the car goes, we're not going to talk about that. This is bias. We'll put this hot or not down as a DNF.
Okay, so this one here is inconclusive. We call it an inconclusive hot or not. Let's move on.
We know what people know what I think. It's fine.
Let's move on to the next segment. So this segment is called Yes But No, where basically we're just going to be looking at different vehicles and just tell me if these basically car trains popular cars where people love but just not for you, essentially. So I'm going to throw up some 3 cars here and I just want to get your take. Popular cars. So what we're looking at here is a Porsche Panamera. So for me personally, I've had a little bit of a problem with this car just because when it came out, I just didn't understand which segment it came into. It was very confusing for me. What scenario? And it's extremely popular. So this is a car that is extremely popular. It's fantastic. But for me, it just seems like there's so many other things like on the markets. And for somebody who's driven these sort of cars, like what sort of person would want this? Why would this try and convert me essentially?
So the thing is, I'm going to be paraphrasing here and don't quote me 100% on this, but the reason why something like the Panamera would exist, popular cars like this is exotic for the most part, is that, yes, 4 doors, people complain and say, no, but it's not like a 911. It needs to be a 2-door. It needs to be... But you have to think of it in this sense. The person who is going to buy into this, they want a Porsche kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you also want the kind of practicality to go with it so you can use it more on a daily basis. Now, at the end of the day, if you have cars like this around in the Porsche range, you got your Cayennes and all that. Like, interesting fact, do you know that the Cayenne is what saved Porsche essentially back in the early 2000s? Yeah. So now, I'm just going to be paraphrasing here, but don't quote me 100% on this. This is one of those cars, I'd imagine. Not to save Porsche in particular, but it's one of those cars that comes in and says...
It basically identifies a market where consumers are looking for a solution, right? And this did exactly the same thing.
It caters to a solution. You still get the bells and whistles of a Porsche, but it also ultimately keeps your more radical models like your 911 GT3s and that, It justifies that more, if you see what I mean.
Yeah,
but then there's also the other person who wants something like this. It ticks all the boxes. And I think with what Porsche did with the design and everything of it, I think they did a stellar job of it.
No, it's a stunning car.
It's a pretty
I'm not
car,
taking anything away from them, but you've answered a few of the questions that I had. For me, I love Porsche. Arguably my second favorite car brand, if not my favorite. Obviously,
is it Porsche or Porsche? Let us know.
Let us know in the description, actually. Let us know in the comments what's the correct pronunciation. So it's always been, but I've always seen it as a halo car for me, right? And then you get to this vehicle where I was like, where is it kind of sitting? It's almost like or coupe SUVs. Always never understood that. But to your points, depending on kind of the use case and ticking all the boxes that you have in terms of sportiness, practicality, there's a vehicle that does exactly that. So on to the next vehicle. So it's
I know why this is here.
I love quantums. Okay, I have a love-hate relationship, like many South Africans, with quantums. This specific quantum, is the one I have grief with. I feel like they've just, what happened to the good old box? What happened to the good old box that just terrorizes us on the streets? That's my biggest concern with this design language. I think it's a lot more practical. I think you saw it. You saw the brand new one. This one, yeah.
Yeah, so these are available in South Africa as, the Quantum, as the naming conventions with Toyota differ between Japan and South Africa and that.
Yeah, it's high-S or Quantum, pretty much, yeah.
High-S or Quantum. So high-S, it's more the refreshed previous generation, if you will. Then this is just, the Quantum nameplate is pretty much this. It's supposed to be the luxury shuttle. To put it simply.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is with this, to your point about, where's the box star and all that.
Yeah.
Now,
as a taxi, I think that's where...
as a taxi. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Do you want to travel in luxury when you take a taxi, when you're doing short lift?
I mean, ideally, but would that not take away from the experience of like being in a taxi?
But you want a nice experience being in a taxi, but the way you're marketing the taxi experience, it's that...
No, look,
you got to earn your chops, as you're putting
I used to take a taxi when I was still studying, right? And the Quantum was the perfect vehicle for exactly that. I'm talking about just previous gen this, right?
Yeah.
The perfect vehicle to get from A to B. And it was comfortable. Like I'm not saying that this one, for me, this is not like a necessarily massive step up from like luxury from the existing one. I just feel like in terms of practicality in South African roads, they didn't think about this. They didn't think about us, taxi lovers. And if, correct me if I'm wrong, does it not take less people?
If I recall, I haven't looked too much into the range of it that much. I think it's more or less the same. But that needs to be confirmed. But as far as this goes in terms of the taxi industry and that, the taxi industry, this is just me assuming that they want something utilitarian, something that's, of course, robust, going to do the job and transport people safely and properly in that. Whereas this more following the shuttle range, it's like when we sit down and we think about it also in terms of Toyota's range, this fills that... I don't want to say like a luxury shuttle, but let me say just shuttle as a collective.
Yeah.
That shuttle segment in their range. So it fits that bill. And then while we're still also catering to the taxi industry as well, who loves the highest says Figile, which we have right now. So I think for the taxis, I don't think it would fare that well. But then for your longer journeys, like, the people want to travel from Mpumalanga and all that works. Or let's say you want to transport, people from business meeting to business meeting.
This is the perfect solution. Yeah.
So I think Toyota knew what they were doing in that let's use something like this.
So you're saying this is not necessarily the replacement of the Quantum that I'm so like in love with. This is essentially different markets. It's more of a shuttle.
It technically is, but then we're also doing, the thing is, it's the naming conventions as well.
Yeah.
So originally, the first conception of this back into the 1970s, 60s, Hi-Ace was the nameplate.
Yeah.
And then we got different variations of the nameplates, and then even here, it's pretty much the same story. In the country of origin, Japan, this is a Hi-Ace. And then just to also cover the refreshed model, the previous generation Quantum, they just said, okay, let's just call it the highest SVGile. So at least there's differentiation between the models. Now, the methodology of why they did it exactly, I'm not 100% sure. I'd like to chat to Toyota about that. But just from what I can assume here, it's that, okay, this is how they put it out. So at least we understand that differentiation and make it work from there.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Tay, let's go into the very last image. So over here, what are we looking at here?
That is Hyundai's compact vehicle.
Yeah.
The Hyundai Grand i10. And it actually got facelifted recently. I had the vehicle on test in a jadish green.
The specific new one or like So this is recent. Okay.
Yeah, this is the exact same one. So it might be a different color, but yeah, this is the one that got facelifted recently. Now,
so first and foremost,
Yeah.
you know, this segment's called Yes But No, right? So these are popular cars which are popular because they're popular. People love them, they work. So, and I actually know somebody who drives the previous one. Somebody who's close to my heart. And it's perfect. It's a and whenever I do have to drive it, I found that it was spectacular. I haven't driven this exact one. So why is this like not for you?
For me, the thing is, this is the thing with the Grand i10. It's that it lacks a bit of the charm that Hyundai has in terms of making cheeky small cars like this.
Yeah.
You know, consider the Gets and even the previous generation Grand i10, not the facelift, but previous generation.
Yeah.
There was a lot of cheek to it. It's like, you know, this is like a little Jack Russell. Let's put it like that. You know, whereas this, it dampens a lot of it now.
Oh, yeah.
And then also I sit there and I think to myself that, you know, I get that this is a commuter first and foremost.
Yeah.
But in the same breath also, let's give it a little extra bit of charm just to make it all that more memorable. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I guess this didn't happen in South Africa, but I know in Korea in particular with the Hyundai Gets, or there's a particular name they gave it in Korea, but we'll just call it Gets for the sake of this conversation. That was actually used as a kid car in Korea. They'd had its own racing series and that. So, you know, the capabilities were definitely there in that, okay, we're giving something for a little bit of cheek and, you know, and drive and that. But not just even from the drive, but then also I sit there with the Grand i10. I'm like, okay, I get where this is trying to go. And I see Hyundai has definitely stepped up in terms of its vehicles and that, you know, compared to the 2000s or the early 2000s and that, where it was, okay, this is our product. We built something robust, try it out. And they were brilliant vehicles.
I have a question.
Checked out.
Grand i10, so you get an i10, right? And then you get a Grand i10.
No, it's just Grand i10 straight.
Is it?
Yeah.
Before though, it used to be i10 and then a Grand i10.
So I think it's more to do with the naming conventions. I don't know what exactly happened in the meeting room with Hyundai, but we just call it Grand i10
As far as I know, they used to, and I could be completely wrong, I think you used to get an i10 and then you used to get the Grand i10, which is a little bit more like stuff that you get with the car. But for like entry model, I think the i10 was like, you know, I'm just trying to get from A to B. This is my first car sort of thing. And that's where, like, I think, you know, depending on your requirements of the vehicle, that's where you'd get a little bit of cheek versus, you know, kind of more capability.
Because I think a lot of it also is becoming, and I think this is a thing of notice or trend just for smaller cars and that. It's that, you know what, let's just throw whatever features at it. Yeah? And then, you know, the people are going to love it. But then let's also think about the foundations of it as well. And then think, okay, what is the consumer going to require in these instances as well?
Yeah,
that also builds not even just creature comforts, but then, you know, ergonomics and that as well. And then also just the designs of certain items and all. You know, you sit there and you think that this is a well-considered car when you look at all these things. Yeah. You know, to the average person, you know, they may not care about all of that. You want something that's fuel efficient, that's safe. It's going to get you from point A to B in comfort. But I implore to people that, you know, also look at little things like that, because that's also what makes motoring memorable.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the other thing. So, you know, stuff like that. That's
it's going to be a hit. It's going to be a hit regardless of, you know, whether we like it or not. It's it's a fantastic car, so it's always going to be a hit.
Good car in its own right, definitely. But then, you know, I sit there and I think, you know, with the Hyundais of
it lost its cheek.
I was like, yeah,
give Taye his cheek back.
It needs to be a little bit more cheeky, you know.
All right, moving on. So we got Heatseekers here today. Obviously, at the beginning of the year, we spoke about essentially the cars that will be coming out in 2024. And I'm going to be asking all of the journalists on the team exactly why they, you know, kind of how do they feel about these vehicles. And you kind of first on the list here. So 3 cars that you think are going to be coming out this year. The first one you gave me was Franks. Why is Franks going to be kind of a hot car this year?
The thing is with the Franks, it surprised all of us when I was there at the launch. And then also I drove it briefly as well while I was in the office. And it's the thing of, how did Suzuki get an entry-level price like this? With the kind of feature set and the drivability and quality and everything in between at that price point of 280K starting. Because when I jumped into the entry-level GL spec, and I was like, okay, no, there's actually a decent bit of kit in that. But at the time, I didn't know that it was a GL. I thought it was the top spec line.
Yeah.
Until I got told, no, you're in the entry-level. And I said, no.
Whoa, yeah.
You're joking.
Exactly, yeah. So basically, you're getting all the things that you expect at a really good price.
And more, mind you.
And more. At a really low price in kind of the basic model.
Yeah, and the car is fun to drive. Like, I didn't expect it to have that I didn't expect to have that much fun driving it. And I thought, this actually really has a lot of charm to it.
Yeah.
And, and tie that with the feature set that's also in. And I thought, yeah, this is definitely going to appeal to a lot of people.
What is this going up against? What are the competitors?
So thinking in the price range, Grand i10 would be one of them, just thinking about pricing in that.
Okay.
Then you got the likes of the Toyota Starlet as well, and because we're looking around 280K. So yeah, more or less in terms of competitors, that's who I can think of off the top of my head.
So top reason why we think there's going to be a Heatseeker is just basically value for money. It's going to tick all the boxes South Africans are going to fall in love with.
Value for money and more, in all honesty.
100%. Let's go to the next photo. So what do we have here? Ford. It's a Ford Territory.
Yes. So Territory, the nameplate was in South Africa before. It was the Australian-built Ford Territory with the Barra straight six-cylinder engine and that.
Yeah.
Then it's left South Africa for some time. Then now it's coming back. And this is...
How's this different to the Everest?
So this is a smaller version. It's more family SUV-like. So
right.
Everest is more off-road SUV.
Because that's extremely popular. Everyone wants an Everest, right? Yeah. That's kind of the hot new SUV that's on the streets.
Yeah.
So this is just a smaller version, almost like a crossover, sort of like, in terms of size.
I guess you could say crossover for the most part, but this is a 5-seater. And what really surprised me about this was that, for one, the engine convention that's being used, which is a 1.8 liter turbocharged, I was like, I actually don't see very many 1.8 liters these days. But then also the indicative pricing at the moment, when we saw the press release for this, was around about the 600K mark. And I thought, wait, what? Hang on. And that's, the entry-level model. Then we're getting, of course, the usual trim levels expected of Ford. And I thought, when this comes, I want to have a look at this.
Is this like a small version of an Everest? Like, essentially, it's just basically a cheaper Everest in terms of, I can't really, or I don't necessarily need all the capabilities of an Everest. I just need something that's going to be for the city, taking the kids, that sort of thing.
I don't think you could really compare it to an Everest. This is more along the lines of, the closest car I can think about is...
CX-3 maybe?
Yeah, maybe CX-3, maybe Cherry Tiggo 7 Pro perhaps.
All right, so
along those lines more or less.
Jolian.
Jolian, I think this would be slightly bigger than a Jolian, but then I haven't seen the car yet, so I can't confirm that.
Let's see what happens. I mean, it looks good, so I think it's definitely going to make a splash. Last vehicle for me to the last segment, Taye.
Hey, I was there today for that.
Yeah. You just came in straight from there, like when we started recording this. So yeah, what did you think about, what are we looking at first and foremost? This is the new Volvo, right?
Yeah, so this is the Volvo EX30. It's quite Swedish. It looks very futuristic. The future is now aesthetic, as you can see, as evidenced by the
What do you mean it's quite
headlights.
Swedish? What does that even mean, Taye? Like, what makes a car Swedish?
So I've had a bit of a habit on YouTube for looking up interior design and that, and Swedish design did come up in the recommended at some point.
Okay, so this is on brand, essentially.
So yeah, it's pretty on brand. And then also just the thing that surprised me about it the most was just the cabin itself, where a lot of it is a sustainability focus, but it's also, there's an element of minimalism in it. Like there's next to no buttons in that thing.
Yeah.
A lot of it is...
I'm not a fan of that, by the way. I'm not a fan of like having no buttons in my cabin.
What buttons do you like pushing?
Let's, for another story, I think we'll actually have an episode about dashes previously where I spoke about just kind of, I like a few buttons, but you're saying over here it's almost like a Tesla. It's kind of...
it's very, very minimalist.
Futuristic.
Very few buttons and all. So a lot of the feature sets in operation, it's through a tablet infotainment screen, dead center in the center stack. And just the sustainability aspect also stretches to the cabin materials. So pretty much recycled materials that have been upcycled. And one example of this is in one of the trim levels. So there's actual denim thread that was recycled and used into the seats for the EX30. And I thought, that's actually pretty nifty. And then when you feel it yourself, you don't think that, because it's recycled or something.
It doesn't feel,
No, it actually feels really good in this. And even just the tactility, is that the word, of the cabin. And I was touching all the surface and just having a feel of that. And I was like, yeah, this feels actually pretty premium. And then also hard wearing where it matters. Like, for example, near the footwells and the door card and that, where
look, it looks clean. I take back my statement earlier. It looks absolutely stunning. I can see it now, yeah.
Interesting thing here, the Harman Kardon soundbar.
Yeah.
Interestingly. So generally when you think soundbar, you think, it's a thing in your house.
Underneath your TV,
Yeah, you go to a townhouse in Midrand and, that's the first thing you see. Then that's what's making the whole noise in that area of the complex, but that's a story for another day.
Look, it looks good. I see what you're saying. It's definitely going to be, and wait, price-wise, is it going to be the cheapest? This is, I'm assuming, battery electric, fully battery electric.
Yeah, so this is a full electric. Starting price for this is 775,900.
Yeah.
And you're competing with the likes of, in terms of pricing, your GWM Aura 3. Because I saw the Aura 03 400. That is only 50 Rand more than this. And I sat there and I thought, okay.
50 Rand more than this.
Yeah, 50 Rand more. So what's a pizza, Or
exactly
a slice
that,
of
yeah.
pizza.
You can get a pizza as well. That's crazy. I mean, I agree with you. I think it's going to be, let's see what happens. I mean, that's launching like only now, right? So
today, it's been unveiled in South Africa. We're yet to drive it. This was more of an unveiling. But with what's on offer, I think, okay, this can actually be pretty good competition for the entry-level EV space. So I'd like to see how it fares. Volvo, especially, we know they don't joke around when it comes to their vehicles. So I think with what's going to come about, let's see what they can play with in the space.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have articles for both the Francs, which is, I'm assuming, live. And obviously the XT is obviously going to be coming up as well. So if you want to see or get some more details on that, definitely check out the description to read all about that. Let's move into the last segment, Tay, before I leave and love you. Lights out, brand new segments. So obviously the 2024 F1 season starting now. And, it's testing right now. So we don't really know what the performance of the vehicles are. But we've seen the liveries. So I just want to get your opinion of the liveries, and we can rank them each by just kind of emojis. Like, what does this give you? So right now we're looking at the Red Bull RB20. How do you feel about this livery? And just overall, do you think it's going to do well in terms of performance of the vehicle?
You're going to hate me for saying this.
Yeah.
I don't watch F1.
I know. That's why we just talk.
that's why you decided to put me in the hot pot like this.
Just based off the livery alone, for somebody who's never seen F1, what does this give you? Like, is it giving?
The thing is, I know how radical Red Bull has gotten with their liveries in the past, and that
radical. I mean, that's I wouldn't go as far as saying radical.
Let me say in different disciplines, not just F1. Sorry.
Okay.
What do I feel when I see this? I don't think it would be very spectacular to see at night. It's a bit too dark. There's not enough bright elements there. Okay, fine. We do have the yellow accents with the bulls and that, but I think it could be more. But then again, as far as F1 liveries go, this doesn't stand out as much.
It doesn't stand out. For me, it's like a kind of the emoji with like the straight face. It's kind of, it's okay. It's the same as last year.
It exists.
It's there. Let's move on to the next one. So next, I got Mercedes W15 for you. I mean, I have a little bit of bias here, to be honest. I love it. I love it. I like the fact that they've kind of merged the black and the silver together.
I like the green streaks, the decals there, the way they spread across, and then also how the silver arrows also dissolve into the rest of the body there. So I actually like that, those two little touches for the most part.
Yeah. This is Lewis Hamilton's last car before he moves on to Ferrari, so I'm going to be watching closely. I think it's a hard livery. Let's see what happens.
That one actually looks pretty nice, I reckon.
And for an emoji here, I'm just going to give it like a cool glasses, like the cool guy with the glasses. Moving on, so we have the Ferrari SF24. So what are we looking at here is Charles's new car for the year. I mean, thoughts? Do you like it? Do you hate it?
Ferrari has actually kept its liveries consistent ever since I was old enough to actually figure out that, oh wait, this is a Formula One car.
Yeah.
And actually painting the wheels red, that's at least something that's a little bit different, unless if there's other cars in this segment, in the list that we have to check out. Then I do like that on a first impression basis, that, okay, look, we're adding something different to now make it more distinguishable.
I hate Ferrari, but oh my god, this is a hard livery.
What do you hate Ferrari?
I'm a Mercedes fan, so I've kind of had a love-hate relationship for a while. I think it's hard. I think it's hard livery. I think they've nailed it.
One of our dear colleagues is not impressed with what he heard.
100%. Also, cool glasses for this one. Okay, I got two more for you.
Looks cool. I like this.
So we got Aston Martin's livery for the year, the AMR 24.
It doesn't stand out.
Underwhelming for me. I found it a little bit underwhelming. It's cool. It's definitely cool, but when you consider it with everything else, it's okay. It's kind of, I see it the same way as Red Bull for me.
The thing is with this, it's like I'd actually rank it below the Red Bull.
Yeah.
Because this is just green.
Green.
Fine, it's British racing green.
Yeah.
A shade of it in some capacity. But I sit there and I think, okay, fine, you just put stickers on a green body, that's it. You do not do anything creative with it.
Big trend that came out this year is the carbon fiber, right? Just exposed carbon fiber by all the teams for like, they were saying that it's a weight-saving exercise. Most people were like, it's just lazy.
But there's always been carbon fiber. Like, okay, carbon fiber has been in the aftermarket scene for ages.
Painting your carbon fiber, right, is what they're saying they're going to save like a kilogram of weight by doing so. I don't know. I think paint your car.
What's a kilogram? Just don't eat a burger before the race.
In F1, it's a lot. So I got one more for you, Taye, and probably my favorite one.
Steak.
So this is Steak F1 team Kick Sauber. Try saying that first.
Kick Sauber.
Yeah, this is my favorite. Easily by far. I think it's the hardest car that I've seen in a long time. And I've seen it on track already, and it's stunning. It's a stunning livery that's going to kind of glow at night. And during the day, it's going to stand out. So
it's a good mix of colors, actually. Whereas with the Aston Martin was just solid green. At least they tried to break it up, and especially in key design areas and body panels.
Yeah.
So I think that actually is a better execution. Just for three color design. Let me say.
100%. Anyways, Taye, that's pretty much all the time I have for you today.
I talk too much, I know.
You talk enough, just about enough. But anyways, if you guys like the show, please can you guys engage with us. Tell us exactly what you liked about the show. Tell us what you want to see next. Don't forget to hit the like button and to smash the subscribe button. And I guess we'll see you guys next week. Any last words there?
Sharp.
Thanks, Taye.
Search AutoTrader.